There's going to be a lot of information in this video, and if you ever want to review it as well as other classes that deal with knee shimmy, definitely check out the free ClassPass code in the description below. You don't want to miss out taking more information about this class as well as other classes. There's one thing we all go for when we're doing our knee shimmy, and that's to be able to do it smaller as well as bigger. So today I want to talk about how to get the technique correct in your body to do a very large knee shimmy. The first thing I want to talk about is posture. Posture is really important when it comes to your shimmies. If you are slouched down like this and kind of just hanging out with your upper body, you're going to put all this extra weight on your shimmy, and it causes your body to be a little bit more resistant to moving the way you want. So you want to make sure that your posture is nice and tall, your chest is nice and lifted your chest is nice and lifted up and off of your mid-waist right here. So that way when you're shimmying, that you have this nice lift and separation. And that allows also for people to see what is happening with your shimmy. So before you even start your shimmy, we want to make sure that you have great posture. Make sure that your feet are in good alignment with your body. They should be about at your hip joint or just slightly within that. Neutralize your pelvis. Don't lock your knees. Lift and relax and keep a nice level head on your body. It's always good to review the technique of the work that you're doing. So we are doing knee shimmy, meaning that our shimmy is motivated from our knees. So I always tell my students, think about your knee shimmy as not the bending of your knee, but the straightening of your knee. It's also called straight leg shimmy sometimes as well, for the simple fact that you are bringing your knees and your legs back to a straight or open position versus a bent position. Especially if you stay in this demi-plie, so to speak, you end up doing a hip shimmy unintentionally with your body versus an actual knee shimmy. So when you're doing the knee shimmy, instead of thinking of putting your knees bent, thinking about how much can you bend before you bring it back to your straight neutral position. So I'm going to continue to bring it back to my straight, but not locking my knees. This is really important. And if I stay here and don't move, you'll notice there's a little bit of a range of motion that you can have, that your knees are kind of oodly and noodly and ooey gooey that don't affect your hip. So if I go like this with my knees and they kind of give a little bit back and forth, my hips aren't really affected. But then if I allow my knee to bend a certain extent, it starts to drop the hip. So what I want to do is make sure that I stay within this range of motion with my knees. So if I go too big like this, then what's going to end up happening is my hips will be more affected vertically than they will be front and back. So I'm going to stay right here with my knee shimmy and think about that straight. Also, you will have different power behind your shimmy when your weight is over the ball of your toes, or ball of your feet, or over the heels. I highly recommend that you do it over your heels because, one, I believe it's more difficult to do it that way. And if you can drive your shimmy really powerfully over your heels, then it's going to be slightly easier to do it over the ball of your feet. And they allow for different hip freedom in the shimmy. So let's say I am standing here and I'm going to just slightly lean forward. You'll see that my hips still have this front and back motion that are happening. And I'm going to drive up my power just a little bit right here, and my weight is still over the ball of my feet. Now, when I change it back to here and I don't change my knees, what happens? My hips come more up and down, almost like I'm layering a hip shimmy on top. Now, if I were to layer a hip shimmy on top, then I would get this. And it's pretty vigorous of a shimmy, but you want to understand how your body is working. So when you are in your knee shimmy, make sure that your weight is over your arch and your heel and first before practicing also the ball of your feet, but you should be practicing both because you may need both styles of shimmy. So let's talk about power of your shimmy. So a lot of the power, actually all of the power is driven in your legs. So you have to condition your body to be able to loosen the muscles in this lower half of your body enough, but also using your quad muscles enough to get your leg back into that straight position, because you do have some muscle that you are using in order to do it. Otherwise, you physically cannot not bend your knee. It requires muscle. So keep that in mind. However, when I am driving more power behind my knee, I'm very mindful to keep my range of motion right where it is, so that way I don't have to go as far to bring my knee back into that straight position. The harder that you drive it forward, it is as hard as you need to drive it back. And if you're not careful and you're driving too much and putting a lot of speed behind it, you could cause yourself injury. So we don't want to do that. So you're going to work within your personal range of motion, which is probably only a couple inches forward and a couple inches into that straight leg position. So I'm going to start my shimmy here, and I'm going at a medium power right now. So what I'm looking for is to only engage my quads as much as I need to straighten my leg back and forth. But how I increase the look of the power behind my shimmy is I also have to ensure that my glutes are loose. You are not contracting your glutes. So I'll show you the difference from behind. If I squeeze my glutes right here and then I do the shimmy, you'll notice that it's causing me to even like kind of catch in my shimmy right here, but also you don't get the same kind of reverb. You'll almost look like you're starting to do a vibration shimmy, which remember is a lot tighter and smaller and more of a vibration versus like, and you're going for the, right? You're going for that, the jiggle and your wiggle. So we want to make sure that you loosen your glutes. So if I'm here, I'm going to get this, but if I relax, you'll see how it reverbs through my glutes more. Now, if I do it small, meaning I'm controlling the range of my motion in my knee, I'm going to give my shimmy less power, but I'm not going to change the tempo. So I'm still going at the same tempo right now, which is 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a. And in slow-mo, I'm saying 1 E and a 2 E and a, which are 16th notes for music theory. So I'm just breaking down the music a little bit more than 1 and 2 and 3 and. So when I'm here, I have my shimmy and I made it smaller. So I gave it less power. It's not as intense, right? So now if I want it more intense, I have to drive my knees a little bit more further forward and farther back into that straight leg, but never locked. But I do not change the tempo. So I'm still going 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a. And the key thing is to continue to breathe into your body and allow your glutes to be loose. So now I'm going to increase it even more. And then you can really see that it's ricocheting in my butt cheeks. That'll be fun on YouTube. So now I'm going to show you from the front. I'm going to do small intensity. So small. So I want to be able to control my knee shimmy, especially if I'm doing something that doesn't require a lot of power behind it. Maybe it's a softer part of the music, something like that. I'm not going to drive and use as much muscle force in my quads in order to drive my knees back and forth. I'm going to keep it right here. So now I'm going to up it to a medium. So this is probably where you'll stay a lot of the time, is in this shimmy right here, because it's a good like generic. It's a good like general use of the shimmy over a lot of pieces of music, but you need to be able to go from that small all the way to the big, right? The other thing too, besides loosening your glutes or allowing them to not contract, right? And you kind of test yourself. If you feel it contracting in there, you gotta slap your butt. So that way you remind yourself, keep it loose, keep it loose, keep it loose. But the other thing too is you gotta not over contract your abs. If you're like this, it's gonna be harder for you to get the reverb in here because you're contracting more muscle than is needed in that moment. Now, there's different body types, right? Let's go back to our shimmy while we're talking. So there's different body types. There's people who are more lean and people who have a little bit more around their midsection. You have to work with your body. Sometimes when you are curvier around the midsection, it would behoove you to actually go tempo with your shimmy because you have a little bit more reverb and the shimmy shows really well versus bringing it all the way up to double time of the tempo, which makes it a shimmy, right? If you are a little bit less around the midsection, then you may have to even slightly disengage your abs. You know how we usually hold it in our neutral position for like that 20%? Well, you might, don't ever let go of your posture, but you might like allow your stomach to be like just a little bit looser to soften this region here. All depends on the type of look you want for your shimmy, your body type, what you feel comfortable with. So you have to kind of play with this and see what works for you, right? So I'm at a medium. Now, for my body, I like to like, blah, but I still hold my, my abs about 20%, but I have enough softness around my stomach that when I drive it harder, as well as softness around my glutes and my thighs, that it contributes to the shimmy the way I like. So this is my medium tempo, not tempo, but my medium intensity power shimmy. Now I'm gonna take it up. And you see how I let it reverb through the body? This is really important. So now the thing is, when you are doing it and you're really driving your knees, I'm gonna show you from the side. When you're driving it here, the thing is to do this. You see how that starts to happen, right? You catch and you start to go like this a little bit. What's really important is you work your way up with tempo into that intensity and power, as well as working it down. So you can't start off with 1 Iana, 2 Iana, 1 Iana, 2 Iana, and then try and get it more intense. It's not gonna work out very well. Start here. And then work your way up, right? Because then you can feel where it starts to catch, and where it starts to catch in your legs is where you need to be more mindful about breathing, relaxing other muscles that are not engaged for the shimmy, and allowing yourself to really focus on the straight, because that makes a difference. So let's go back to our medium. Breathe. Bring it up a notch, just a little. I can feel my thighs rub together at this point pretty well, right? Then you can bring it up just slightly more, but you need to make sure that your knees are even with each other as you're doing this and allowing this softness to happen. I'm gonna switch positions so you can see. Now you're gonna bring it up another notch. So, keeping mindful of that range of motion and how to drive the power and intensity is really important for you to optimize the size of your shimmy. So how do your feet work in all of this? One thing that's really important is you should be very connected to the ground. If you're in heels, if you're flat foot, if you're wearing some kind of footwear, it doesn't matter, but you should feel connected to the ground in a way that you can feel that you are using opposition in your movement in order to drive the shimmy. So when I am up here in releve and I start to drive my shimmy from my knees, the power of which and the point of which that I can find opposition from my foot into the floor is smaller because I'm only on the ball of my feet. Now, when I'm flat-footed, I can feel the entire power of my shimmy drive into the ground. So if you wear heels, if you dance with shoes, right, and you're up here, essentially you're in heels, right? So you're gonna be mainly on the ball of your feet. You wanna feel that power. So you wanna be able to drill yourself in releve, getting that same strong power as well as flat-footed. So you want to be very connected, and when I say you feel the opposition, you feel the force going into the ground, you're using it as kind of like this force that fights back, right? So that way it's not just floaty, like how your foot, if it didn't have something, it could be going like this, right? When you push back, you are feeling it at the moment when you straighten your leg. You should feel pressure increase on that side just slightly within your feet. It's not great, and you'd have to really be paying attention to it, but the force and the opposition of the energy is there. So we want to be using that. So when you're drilling your shimmy to get it really big, you need to be aware when you're on the ball of your feet and when you're flat-footed. Okay, so now we're gonna drill our shimmy a little bit together. So we're gonna be very small in your power, and we're gonna work our way up to that big, loose, juicy shimmy that you want. Remember, keep in mind your body type and how you have distributed your weight either to the front of your foot or to the back of your feet, and keep that in mind and kind of tweak it how you want it to look on your body. Okay, so I'm gonna do it without a hip scarf first so you can see how my body looks and everything that's shaking. I kid you you not, I was doing a competition, and this might be TMI, but I was wearing a thong underneath my costume, and I was doing my shimmy, and I started to hear myself booty clap, and I was like, oh my God. I was so excited because that meant I had the looseness in my butt cheeks that I needed for a good shimmy, but it also made me sad because that's how I discovered that I could do it right before a competition. But anyway, just letting you know, there's moments when you're like, I got it. That was mine. Okay, so now we're gonna drill this so you can see my muscles. So I have my quads just engaged to get my shimmy going, but my posture, I'm keeping mindful of it, right? And I'm at a medium. Right now, this is my medium. So when I check my body, I'm checking that my butt cheeks are loose. Essentially, you can like lift them and drop them. If they were contracted, you wouldn't see as much drop from your butt cheek. So I'm keeping it here. This is about medium tempo. And I want you to see how loose I'm keeping my glutes. Okay, I'm not trying to contract it. I'm not trying to control it necessarily. My shimmy is guided, but I'm not like strong holding my shimmy, because that's where you start to tighten it up and you can't get the big juicy shimmy that you want, right? Still driving at the knees, very conscious of the weight in my feet, okay? This is a medium. So take a look down, see your body. If you have a mirror nearby, see what that medium looks like for you, okay? Now, we're gonna take it up a notch. Breathe. Just kidding. You gotta keep breathing so you can exchange that oxygen in your cells. Lactic acid doesn't build up, and so you're not as rigid in your movement, right? From the side. You can see my glutes have a lot more movement now because I'm driving more with more power and intensity. So when this happens, I know my range of how much is coming forward and back with my knees. But as far as you come forward is as far as you have to come back on both legs evenly. And it's even in my back, you can see. I'm not bashful about it. That's one of the things I love about a shimmy. You don't have to be apologetic about your body. Drive that leg, drive that leg. Good. So if you don't already have a hip scarf on, let's do that. So you need to see how your shimmy looks without a hip scarf and then with a hip scarf, because you don't ever want only your costuming to be the thing that your shimmy looks good, right? So very mindful of that. So that way you have the technique you want. Okay, so I'm gonna show you at an angle. We're going straight into our power. I don't know if you can hear it. Up. Side. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so one last time together. We're gonna hold it out for 16 counts. 5, 6, 7, out. Breathe. Nice job. Nice job today. I hope this gave you some insight on how to change and largify your shimmy so you can get the most out of it. Remember, keep the technique, keep your posture, make sure your glutes and your abs are as loose as they can be. Granted, you don't forgo your posture, and then drive from those knees using your quads. And remember, it's about the straightening, not the bend. So like I mentioned before, don't forget to use the free code that's in the description below, and I hope to see you in my online classes.